I do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, again for joining. We've got a lot to cover in a very short amount of time today. We're going to focus a majority of our time on cellular enhancement for in-building. We'll also talk a little bit about public safety and where that arena kind of is going in today's day and world. We're also going to talk a lot about, who's SureCall. We're going to give you a great brand story, talk about our products, some of our innovations that are available to you. And then we'll get into the product availability and then some tools of the trade and what to really look for when you're looking to start to either bring in passive DAS into your portfolio or hopefully show you some new tricks of the trade if you're already doing a lot of the installations that are out there. Any questions you have, please enter them into the chat box or the text box, questions and answers. I'll answer them as we kind of go through, and then we'll stop periodically through the training as well. So kind of getting right into it here for everybody. Let's talk a little bit about SureCall. SureCall was founded back in 2001. We are based out of Fremont, California. That's where we design and actually assemble a majority of our boosters nowadays, right out there in Fremont. So we have a very large focus on large commercial products that are, or commercial spaces that are available to us. And it's important to understand that because a lot of our competitors out in the marketplace started in the residential world and are trying to work their way up into this commercial space. So really having that focus really will allow us to understand the big buildings and the complexities that come along with that. You think about large buildings, obviously the bigger the building, typically there's going to be more people in it. So capacity truly becomes a concern when we start looking at some of these larger applications that are out there. So the great news is we've definitely focused on a lot of the development of our products right on those large enterprise style buildings. And then we have taken that technology and reduced it so we can get into a very competitive price points for the smaller applications that are out there as well. So when we talk about products, we make a very, very wide range, everything from fleet, mobile products, marine, RV, all the way up to the large spaces that are out there today. So we always have a first to market. So our owner of our company, his name is Hong Tao Zhan. He really has been driving the initiative around it. So we own the patents on a 5-band booster, which means we allow for all carriers and all technologies to be able to be broadcast off of one booster. And we continue to look to see how we can push the envelope. And when we talk about 5G, when we get into the product side of it, there's a lot of incredible pathways for customers that are buying today's technology to be able to upgrade to that 5G style technology. Some of the very specific technologies that we have in our products, some of them are newer to SureCall. One of them we call SureIQ, and that will ensure that the booster will never ever shut off due to overpower or too strong of a signal on the outside of the building. You couple that with the automatic gain control, and which is mandated by the FCC and carriers. This booster is pretty much a plug and play. There's only a few little things that you might have to do to help increase coverage within the building itself, but for the most part, the boosters do most of the work out there. We'll talk about 5G in a little bit here, but one of the big focuses that we're going to kind of roll out to the team today is our remote management system called the SureCall Cloud, and we power it by what we call SureCall Sentry. So this is built into a majority of our boosters, and it really, really helps take the guesswork out of during setup, in addition to kind of increasing customer satisfaction by being able to have complete control over the booster remotely. So we'll really get into that today. When we look at some of the key features of the boosters themselves, because we've been doing this for quite some time now, all of our boosters, just understanding the build quality that goes into a booster itself, they're all made out of aluminum. It's a big amplifier. You have to reduce the heat, so there's really big heat sinks on it. The compartmentalized design, which I'll show you in 1 second here, what that looks like, is very important because there are two different things happening in the booster. You've got your uplink, which is everything going out of the building back to the cell towers, and downlink, everything coming in. You want to be able to reduce that coverage or that crosstalk to have a much cleaner or a more linear booster, which again helps with that simultaneous capacity that's out there. So just kind of showing what we mean by that, our Force 5 2.0, which is our flagship product on the left, you can see that compartmentalization on the inside of that booster where we truly increase, or we separate the RF as best as we possibly can. The other thing to notice is the large size of the filters that we put on the inside of our big ceramic filters, which again helps increase capacity within the boosters themselves. The competition product works, can't say anything bad about it, but they don't put the same type of processes into it, which really can hurt or hinder the performance of the system itself. So we do a lot when it really comes into the booster systems, and this is built into all of our flagship products, the Force 5s, our Fusion products as well, so that same technology again is trickling down into the lower cost solutions that are available to a lot of our customers that are out there. Looking at just kind of what is DAS, let's kind of take a step back away from who SureCall is, what we do, kind of go to market, but what is the actual DAS and what does it stand for? So DAS is a distributed antenna system, and there's a bunch of different types of technologies that are out there. Really it comes down to what your customers can truly afford. There are active DAS solutions that are out there, and in all reality, they are the gold standard. And these are the really big guys that are doing large venues, over 500,000 square feet. When we're looking at large skyscrapers, we're looking at arenas, football stadiums, even when it comes down to large convention centers, active DAS is the way to go. The drawback to them is they're very expensive. The $2 to $4 per square foot, that's usually per carrier, and the time to be able to commission or turn a system like this on takes a very long time, anywhere between 6 to 12 months, and it's a lot of coordination with the carriers that are out there. So active DAS, again, although it is the gold standard, there's a lot of other technologies that are a little bit more affordable. Things like voice over Wi-Fi or phantom cells, micro cells that are available out there. And these are good for smaller arenas or smaller buildings. Really, you see a lot of these in residential applications where it's designed for a single carrier, and you have to have that open Wi-Fi network to really be able to utilize that type of scenario. It only allows you to connect for the one particular carrier, so it's not a very vast system like a 5-band passive solution that's out there. And the biggest drawback is it won't hand off to the cellular network. So if you guys are roamers like we are, like I am when I'm on the phone, I'm typically walking back and forth and pacing a little bit. You get too close to a window, or you start your phone call inside, you get in your vehicle and you start driving away from the building, you'll drop the call every single time. So right in between that comes passive DAS. And passive DAS is where SureCall lives, again, for those 19 plus years that we've been in this business. And because we are 5-band, it provides coverage for all the carriers and all technologies, specifically even up to 5G, but we really focus on that 4G LTE technology right now. And it's very, very affordable. I mean, on the high end, you're at 75 cents a square foot, and that's installed. So there really it's not too expensive, and we make a lot of smaller products that can fit majority of every budget that's out there. Very, very easily deployable, and because they're all carrier approved, you don't have to go in and actually work with the carriers to commission the system that's out there, which saves you a ton of time. So how do these systems work? Fairly simple. Being a passive DAS, we are reliant on that outdoor cellular signal. So we are going to utilize what we call a donor antenna. It's either going to be a directional, which is called a Yagi, or an Omni style antenna as depicted in the picture here. That's going to grab your cellular signal and it's going to pull it into the booster itself. From there, we're going to act just like an active DAS. We're just going to redistribute that system through a bunch of coax cable that's available. We typically use a 50 ohm cable to help kind of drive that signal down into the buildings themselves. The opportunity, if we look at this and we start thinking about, how big is this if you're new to the industry or if you're new to DAS, what is the potential earning opportunity around it? And this is it's amazing to me just how big of an industry this really is. I mean, it's over a $40 billion industry throughout the US. $8 billion of that would be something that is included in those very large stadiums, arenas, those traditional active DAS solutions or small cell solutions that are available out there. But we start looking at where SureCall can really fit in, that 500,000 square feet and below, and we start seeing a considerably larger increase in the total potential revenue. And we really start looking at that 50 to 100,000 square feet and really under 50,000. And there's about a $20 billion industry just sitting there waiting for you. So there's a large opportunity for all of our clients to really be able to look at what we can do to bring this technology into the buildings at an affordable price point for a lot of our customers. So again, just to kind of circle back on what passive DAS, the benefits are, again, we're carrier approved, very, very fast deployment. Being carrier agnostic, we can work with any of the technologies that are available out there, very cost effective, and I think probably the most important one, it's a very scalable solution. And what I mean by scalable is if your client only had enough for a 3-story building and they only had enough for specific parts within that building, maybe it was just the first floor where their customers might come in. You can easily expand upon that system as more budgets become available. So again, very easily usable. So a lot of my customers that call us up on a regular basis, even end users that reach out to us, will ask us, why can I use my phone outside, but I can't use it inside the building? And really, there's 3 different culprits that are out there. One, the biggest one, is building materials. Any new construction that's going up, these buildings are either going to be some type of a warehouse with a big tilt wall, a lot of rebar, a lot of heavy concrete in it, or your office spaces where they're becoming more and more energy efficient. So we're putting a lot of new windows, low E glass, and that really reflects a lot of that signal back out of the building. The terrain always comes into play. You couple that with the distance from a cell tower, and there is a point where you may not have a good enough signal on the outside of the building to make that phone call. So obviously the weaker the signal, the less we're going to be able to really help with that. And then we start thinking about, when we get into the products, you're going to start thinking about, well, Eric, you're telling me that some of these boosters can do 100,000 square feet worth of coverage. Some can do 5,000 square feet worth of coverage. My building's 50,000 square feet. Why do you have 3 BDAs or 3 boosters going into this design application? And a lot of it comes down, just like with Wi-Fi, everything will either reflect or absorb a cellular signal. So big open warehouse spaces, when we provide the square footage that the booster will cover, we look at it as an open space, big warehouse, nothing in the way. But as we start adding walls and windows and glass partitions in place here, that signal really becomes shrunk down very significantly. For example, drywall. Every piece of drywall we shoot it through, it's about a neg 2 dB worth of loss. Well, every 3 dB, I'm going to reduce my coverage by half. So a system that can do 25,000 square feet, I was only going to be able to do 12 to 13,000 square feet. And if we start looking at the low E glass, you can really start to see that -30, -34, that is starting to really hamper a lot of the coverage that we have in there. So just like Wi-Fi, the signal's it's either going to get reflected away, absorbed into it. So we have to add more access points, which are what our broadcasts or inside antennas would be, more access points to get around some of those barriers that are out there. So the great news is, when we look at all the different products that are available out there, SureCall will help take the guesswork out of the entire design phase. But there is a little bit of pre-work that we are going to ask you to do. So the first thing we have to do is we want to find that outdoor cellular signal. Yes, you can go and utilize your cell phone, but do please remember that your cell phone will give you a little bit of a different reading, because it's not reading actual signal strength, it's reading what the phone is actually seeing. So you probably see about a 30% difference in overall coverage or overall signal strength between our meter and a cell phone. The other thing to keep in mind is your cell phone will only give you coverage, or will only give you readings for your particular carrier. So if you're looking for somebody that's just Verizon and you are a Verizon subscriber, perfect. We won't have any issues with it. If they're AT&T, you're going to have slightly different readings between those two. So again, the meter is a very easy tool to be able to use to really be able to pull that signal in. Once you submit the information over to us through our website, we'll be able to turn around and give you a couple different styles of designs. Number one is we can do a very basic layout like this, just to show you where the recommended antenna locations would be, and then what components are connected to what booster. Keeps it very simple, makes it really easy for you to be able to pull out a labor quote on it. Something to keep in mind with this is these lines do not depict any type of cable pathways. We're just trying to show, again, which products are connected to which system. If you have a larger job, or you're really trying to get more specific into an opportunity, we do offer IB wave designs. Now, this will really come into play if you're getting involved into public safety, into that arena, which is more of a mandate. But this type of design will truly be able to give your customer a real expectation as to what your coverage will look like. The software that we utilize, the IB Wave software, will not only just provide the heat map, but it will also provide the full amount of products and then all the link budgets or the signal strengths that we should expect at the very end of each one of those antennas that are available. So we'll turn that around to you. It takes about 3 to 5 days to get it back to you. And then we'll also be able to turn around a full bill of materials, so you'll be able to easily turn this around, over to your ADI team to be able to get your cost on the products, and then you can take this, send it to the customer as part of that budgetary quotes that are out there. So there's a lot that we look at when it comes down to the tools of the trade that are available to us, and there are a lot of different styles of websites that we can utilize to really be able to pull in the different types of coverage applications that we have. And we truly get into that during our level 2 training. But cellmapper.net is probably the best one to find all the different types of towers that are available in your marketplace. There's also a lot of apps that you can utilize on your phone that will show you all the different networks that are available, and tell you which technologies or frequencies are on that said network. So one of the biggest apps that I like to use is just called Find Tower, and you can pick that up in the Play Store. You can pick it up in the Apple Store itself, and that's a great application to be able to use, especially if you're on site, to really understand where the tower is when it comes down to doing any type of a basic installation and aiming of the outdoor donor antenna. So again, cellmapper.net will be able to show you the locations of the towers on your PC or your Mac. And then Find Tower is another great application to be able to use to truly be able to pull that system onto your phone and see it in real time. So once we get the application done, design application put together for you, we send it back over. There really isn't a cookie cutter scenario that's out there. Every building is going to be just a little bit different. So again, we make that very, very wide range of products available to a lot of our customers, and kind of looking very high level, just at the mobile, the RV, the fleet solutions, you'd be surprised how many people are acquiring these types of products that are out there. I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but these work just like they do for in-building, but they're for in-vehicle. A little bit slightly less power, but this will definitely keep you connected further into those fringe areas if you're traveling, or if you have any clients that have multiple vehicles that they're looking to be able to enhance coverage in. This is a great type of a product to really bring into the fold as a full product offering or solution for you. Again, what we're really going to focus on is that in-building coverage. So the in-building, starting with the smaller applications, looking at a lot of residential applications that are out there, and just thinking about how many people nowadays are really just utilizing their cell phone to stay connected. And this work from home initiative that we've seen here recently with COVID is really kind of brought out a new type of customer for SureCall. There's a lot of research that has been done here, but there's about 54% of American households are wireless only customers. They're the cord cutters. They're pulling off the satellites, they're pulling off the cable, they're disconnecting their phones and just going with some type of a wireless device. But there are still a lot of homes, about 43% of them, that still use landlines. And this information was available as of December of last year. So still pretty recent. So how do we get these customers to look at a product that's very affordable? They're not going to go spend something on a large enterprise solution. Most of them won't go spend $3,000 to $5,000 on a solution that we would put into a commercial application. So we've developed some very unique products that fit a very specific price point. The Flare 3.0 in our work from home initiative is right now our #1 and #2 selling boosters right next to our Fusion for Home. Again, they both install just like the larger example I showed you with the multiple antennas, but this is really designed, that Flare 3.0 is designed to cover a home up to about 3,000 square feet, or that 1 to 2 room style solutions. A lot of our customers are taking this product, they're putting it into a great room, they're putting it behind their TVs and being able to enhance that coverage in that lower level of a home. Awesome for basement areas or lower level constructions. Very easy solution to be able to install for you guys. The Fusion for Home, we can add a little bit more to it. We can really drive more reception because this booster has a little more power. It's more of that conventional style of an installation solution that's available too, that we're pretty much used to out there. I should mention that these products that we're showing here are available in both US and Canada. I'll have a couple products that will be Canada only, because of the rules are just a little bit different up in the Canadian market when it comes down to the carrier applications. So again, the Flare and the Fusion for Home with a starting price of $379 is retail. Very, very easy and affordable products to truly be able to bring into the marketplace. From here, if we have homes that were more custom, they had multiple levels that they're trying to get full coverage throughout it, This is where we start to see a little bit of a crossover between our consumer boosters into the residential side of the world, it's into the enterprise side of the world. So our Fusion 5S products is for those larger homes. We're talking homes that are up to about 6,000 to 8,000 square feet. $850 retail, and now we can start zoning systems out just like we would of the Wi-Fi networks that are available out in today's market. We can have up to 4 antennas on this booster. It gives you all the dials and controls right on the front of it, so you can manipulate the booster as needed to really be able to give you that custom coverage that the customers are looking for. When we get into the Fusion 5X, this is that enterprise style booster. This is that solution that is getting to a little bit of that 20,000 plus square feet of coverage. The main difference, obviously you can see right in the face, it doesn't have the dial controls or the attenuation right on the face of it. You do have to use some type of the software, which is where our SureCall Sentry comes into play to be able to manipulate the booster and increase or decrease the attenuation as needed. So you can kind of see as we go here, the price points start to get a little bit larger. But when we start looking at the commercial applications, as we originally started talking about, these commercial spaces really are playing to the part of larger capacity, larger floor plans, up to that 250,000 to potentially 500,000 square feet, depending on the use of the product itself. So when I start getting into that, there's that Fusion 5X 2.0 again. So that commercial space crossover between commercial and residential is rearing its head again. That Fusion 5X is perfect for those medium-sized buildings up to about 20,000 square feet. We can go larger. We just have to add another booster down the line itself. So you start looking at the potential the difference between a Fusion 5X and a Force 5, and it really comes down to the capacity or user capacity. If you remember back to the very beginning of the presentation, we showed you, we kind of took the hood off the engine, right? We showed you the inside of what the Force 5 really looked like. And you can see the components were much, much larger than a lot of the competitors. That is also same true with the Fusion 5X. So the capacity difference is the Force 5 will be able to handle whatever the cellular tower can handle themselves, which are really 350, potentially 500 simultaneous users out in the market, where the Fusion 5X will handle about 50. So when we do the design application, we're going to start asking questions not only about building size, but we're also going to start asking questions in regards to capacity. How many potential simultaneous users are there out in the marketplace? So the major difference when we look at these products versus our Canadian counterparts or products that are available to them, these are only available in Canada. The biggest difference is the power, the gain. So up in Canada, we have the Fusion 5S CA. That booster is really designed for markets that are out in the rural area, cottage countries, but much higher gain or higher power than what we're able to utilize in the US. And even on the Force 5, with 80 dB worth of gain, and it's a 0.5 watt booster, this is significantly more powerful than the US counterparts that are out there. It'll cover up to about 80,000 square feet, where the US, the Force 5 2.0, will cover about 25,000 square feet worth of coverage. So you can see there's a significant increase with the higher downlink power that is available to our friends up north there. So again, all these products are available through our ADI partnerships that are available out there. And everything we've talked about so far is our 4G and LTE family worth of products. So the question always comes up is, what are we looking for 5G? Where is that future going to take us? And I think the number one customer question is, what is the pathway to 5G? Should I be worrying about it today, or should I be worrying about it 5-10 years down the road? And it's a very valid question. So 5G is going to come in 3 different types of flavors that are out there. So when we kind of think about what 5G looks like, we are going to have what they consider low band, which is what is available today on T-Mobile's network, and it's on that 600 megahertz. Very easy signal to be able to penetrate into buildings, and this pathway for us is very simple because we can utilize the existing infrastructure that is available today on our 4G LTE style of technologies. Even when we get into the mid-band, that 3.5 gigahertz solutions, we can still have a very easy pathway moving into it. So low band, also known as FR1 technologies, and then you have high band technologies, which is 28 gigahertz and up, This is also known as FR2 or millimeter wave technology. Millimeter wave technology and the midband are going to have a very, very hard time penetrating most of the buildings that are out there just because of the frequencies and the bandwidth or the band wavelengths that are hitting the building itself. They don't have the power to penetrate into those buildings themselves. So unfortunately, on the high band products or FR2, there isn't a pathway with the current technologies that are available. This would be a complete add-on solution to the current installation that we would put into a building like a Force 5 2.0 or a Fusion 5X. So it'd just be an add-on solution to it. The great news is we've got some new products that are available today to be able to help increase that coverage. So we announced back at CES and we launched the first 5G booster back in May of this year, where we've actually out in the marketplace, I want to say we've got 15 to 20 of these being deployed. And it's very exciting for SureCall to be, again, first to market, very innovative company to be able to bring this product out to you guys. It is considered an industrial booster, so we do have to have a little bit of carrier coordination. But every carrier that we've talked to so far has not given us any problems as to getting the proper sign-offs on it. Beyond that, looking at the 5G technology, this booster will also do our 4G and LTE technologies. So this is truly a booster that is agnostic for all the technologies that are out there and available today. Any questions at all that you want to put into the Q&A or into the chat section itself around any of the cellular technologies that are available to us? Before I move into some of the public safety side. Anything pop up at all?
There's just one right now from Joe Camerata. SureCall has products in the BDA/DAS space for first responders. And I think this really leads into your next part with public safety. Are you a competitor to Honeywell and Bearcom?
We are absolutely probably one of the biggest competitors to both of them. Yes.
Okay. And as you all have questions, we will answer all of these towards the end of today's session. So please keep putting them in. Another question did come in. Are the residential products 5G compatible?
Yeah, so the residential products, the only 5G compatible, well, let me rephrase that. All of our boosters are 5G compatible because any 5G phone will work on our technologies with the 4G and LTE technology. The current boosters besides the Force 8s will only enhance coverage for 4G and LTE. It will not do the 600 megahertz because it's not built into the boosters themselves. One thing to keep in mind with 5G, it is a data-driven model only. So it is not going to be a voice network for the foreseeable future. So if you're looking at it for residential applications, most consumers do have Wi-Fi in their homes. And once they walk into their home, the Wi-Fi becomes their new data port for their devices that they're connecting to it. But one way to phrase it again is we can utilize the 5G phone will be compatible with our 4G LTE boosters. Yes. Okay,
and then one last question. Will these boosters help AlarmNet radios?
AlarmNet radios. Are we, if you're looking for like a cellular backup system, yes. So these are compatible with all the cellular technologies that are available for a lot of the cellular backup features that are out there for the modem cards. So yes, it will work with those.
Okay, Michael, if that wasn't enough of an answer, maybe you can restate your question and we'll get to it towards the end of this session. And I'm going to go back on mute, Eric, and let you continue into the public safety sector.
You got it. And I do see a question here from Tony as well. How do we read the signal meter? And I'll go back to that at the end here so we can kind of show you how to utilize the meter itself. Very simple to do. Okay, so looking at public safety, a few things. I'll get into the product itself and then we'll get into some of the codes so we can understand what it really looks like. SureCall's product offerings when it comes down to public safety is our Guardian 4 product. This product is a 0.5 watt Class B style booster that is designed to work on both the 700 and 800 megahertz two-way radio systems, also known as a P25 system, that's being deployed in a lot of the markets that are available, or a lot of the municipalities are bringing that P25 system in. But it also works on the cellular FirstNet frequencies, which is your band 14. Which is really FirstNet, if we don't know too much about that, but FirstNet really brings a secure network and a dedicated network to our first responders that are out in the markets running around today. So it will work on those 3 different technologies. Being an 80 dB gain booster, 33 watt draw, is a half-watt solution. So this booster will cover just about 90,000 square feet worth of coverage. And if we have to add more solutions to it, we can add another BDA down the line itself. So it is UL certified. It does meet all of the Chapter 24 emergency communications in both NFPA and 1221. It has all the alarming capabilities, the US battery backup solutions, and it also has our SureCall Sentry built into it. You can adjust the gains right on the front of it or through the Sentry software and add up to 31 dB worth of attenuation if need be. If a municipality is only looking for a 700 or an 800 megahertz solution, you can turn the said band that they don't want completely off on it by toggling the dip switches that add the attenuation and completely turn it off. With the automatic gain control and the automatic oscillation protection, those are 2 key requirements that both code and the municipalities are looking at in addition to the FCC. So again, UL certified, FCC certified. And when I start looking at the different codes and compliances that are out there, as I mentioned, it does meet the NFPA Section 72, Chapter 24, and also Section 1221, and the IFC. Now, depending on the markets that you're in, majority of you are going to be following the IFC. NFPA is really dedicated to those gray states, the Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, West Virginia, Florida, so on and so forth. The rest of the states are going to follow the IFC standards, which this is kind of a moving target because it depends on the year that they're focused on the code itself. It could be a 2018, could be a 2015 code, and then codes are going to change again in 2021. So right now, the code is mandated. National code is mandating that the building will have a specific power requirement with inside of it for two-way radios. So for IFC, it's a negative 95 dBm is the minimum radio reception signal strength that the building can hold in as a specific the size of the building itself as well, but in 90% of that building. So if I don't meet a negative 95, the fire marshals are not going to allow for the certificate of occupancy. So looking at the design application for this, it's going to be a little bit different just because we're going to only be inspecting that 700-800 megahertz two-way radio solution, but we're going to go through that same process. We'll be able to turn around that heat map for you, give you the bill of materials, and there's a few things that you have to have with public safety in order to be able to install a solution itself. First and foremost, you have to have the certificate from the manufacturer, meaning that you have to have gone through our certification training in order to be able to install the system itself. That is something that we will not be doing today. It's an hour-and-a-half class just for this. It is something that we do offer free of charge. And after this, with our follow-up email to you, you'll have the registration link if you're interested in attending that class. The other thing that is a should have, it's not a shall, but it's a should have, is your general radio operator license or your GROL license through the FCC. So there's a little bit more, what's the word I want to use? There's a little bit more attention that's being brought into that GROL license just because you are transmitting a federal frequency or a government frequency out in the markets that we see today. And then the tools of the trade change a little bit as well because you're inspecting specific frequencies and you have to have specific reports that are brought in there. There's a lot of different manufacturers that bring in signal meters, let it be an Enritsu, Rigol, or PCTEL. There's a handful of different manufacturers out there that really bring the tools to you at a wide range of price points, anywhere from a $1,500 basic meter to a $20,000 meter that will give you the entire report at the end of the day. So again, the public safety side of the world is because it is very demanding and because that there's so many intricate details with the codes, getting onto our training here, which I believe is going to be offered next week, and you can get registered for that class, will give you the full encompassing training to really be able to get the certification and then start presenting the product. One thing that we have done with our Guardian product of family is we only manufacture the BDA. So we've partnered with other manufacturers when it comes down to battery backups, in addition to annunciators that you would have to be able to wire it into the fire panel itself. Any questions on the product, at the very end, you'll have all of our contact information. Feel free to reach out to any of us on the SureCall team, the ADI team, and we can truly, we can do a one-on-one with you and answer as many questions as we possibly can for you to kind of bring you into the loop here. Make sure you got everything you need. All right, so looking beyond the product itself, some of the .com side of it, or the cloud applications, is going to be very, very instrumental in helping you on both public safety and on the cellular side of the equation. So the SureCall Cloud is built into our Guardian 4 products, our public safety booster, our Force 8, and our Force 5 2.0. The remainder of the products in the Fusion 5 family will have to have a separate device being added, which is called the Sentry device. So the Sentry device is a very easily connected product that will go right into the Fusion 5S and or the X, and will allow you the same access as more of our flagship products that are available out there. But what it brings to you is this. It brings you a view of all of your boosters at a glance. It will tell you if there's any issues with the boosters. So on the public safety side, if there's a disconnect of the outdoor antenna, if there's a disconnect of AC power, if there's a disconnect or a drain of the battery backups, it will automatically alert you to say that there is this problem. Additionally, on cellular and public safety, if there's any oscillation detection, it will send you an email alert and or a text message alert to tell you this is the problem that we're seeing. And what that does for you is you're much more responsive to your customer. You're not having to roll a truck because you get a phone call from the customer saying it's not working. What am I supposed to do? So it's time saving you because you can see what the problem is. We can troubleshoot with our tech support team. And then from that point, we can order or ship you the parts to be able to get one stop back to your customer, fix it, and move back on with your day. The booster system, or the Sentry software, will also allow you to see all of your products or all of your jobs listed in a locker off to the left side. And then we can utilize this to get a snapshot as to how that booster's performing throughout the day. Let it be on an hourly basis. You can do it daily. You can do it monthly. This is something that if you're into a recurring revenue model, you can add to your portfolio as a value add, because we don't charge anything extra for the actual software itself. You can utilize this as something to be able to promote quarterly contacts. You can reach back out to your customer. Hey, we've noticed that the booster's been working very well, or we saw this issue. We're able to fix it remotely. So a very easy system to use. More importantly is on that setup side of it. So when I look at the setup side, I can see that exact signal strength coming into the booster right on the front of it. And then I can also see any type of attenuation that might be on the booster that I may have put on at the site. So any type of dip switches, or I've turned the knobs in that Fusion 5S, so I can see what type of manual attenuation's on it. It will also tell me if it's on, if it's asleep, which is a normal activity. The boosters are what they consider a green technology, meaning that the booster will shut the uplink off. It's always receiving signal from the carriers, but it's not always sending the signal back out to the carriers, to the towers themselves. It's only going to be active when somebody inside the building is utilizing that specific frequency for that carrier. It's automatic within the systems. You don't have to do anything to set that up. Very easy to read dials on it, so you can see if we got great signal, not so great of a signal. And then at the very bottom here, you can see that I can add through this web link, it's SureCallCloud.com, or through the app on my phone, which is just called SureCall Sentry in the Play Store or the Apple Store. I can go in here, I can turn off specific bands, I can reset the booster remotely, and then I can slide the bar over easily to just add whatever attenuation I might need. So why would I ever have to change it if the software is doing everything for me? It's a great question. The main reason for that is oscillation. If you cannot get the separation from your outdoor antenna to your indoor antenna, SureCall allows you to increase the coverage or increase the attenuation on both your uplink and your downlink side of the equation. So everything going out of the building again, you can reduce the power of that outdoor antenna, which will help shrink the coverage so it's not potentially talking to your indoor antennas. So this is some of the great features that we have built into it. The app itself also works very similarly. So when I look at the app scenario, you can do the same deal with a locker on the side. You can change the names of them. It's just, you don't have the same color combinations, but you have all the same other aspects that we just showed you with the .com side of it. Being able to turn the booster on and off remotely, adjusting the downlink, adjusting the uplink while all off site. So again, this is something that really allows you to quickly pinpoint those malfunctions and make the changes remotely, try and get the customer back up so you're not having to roll a truck. And if we do have to roll a truck, we'll have all the right parts and pieces in place again, so you're not having to spend multiple jobs or trips back and forth to this job to find out what's wrong with it, order the parts, go back out and fix it. It's all available right in front of your face with the device itself. So again, there's a lot of information that we're covering in a short amount of time. And my goal with this is to kind of give you that high level overview and really kind of understand what the products bring to the market. And then more importantly, how we can continually bring education to you. So we do offer our level 1 and our level 2 style trainings. Level 2 training is a very in-depth training when it comes down to just the cellular side. This is the same link page that you'll get for registering for our level 2 trainings in addition to our public safety trainings themselves. But one promotion that we are offering to you through our level 2 training, if you complete it, which the next training I believe is the 23rd of this month, we'll be able to provide you a signal meter for only $99. It's normally $350 for these meters. So there's some significant savings there to drive you into that level 2 style of a training. One question just popped up. Can I see my Wilson? Of course, yes, you can still use some of the competitors' RF signal meter. They both do the same thing. Ours is just a little bit different when it comes down to functionality and how you can read some of the, and I'll go over that to answer Tony's question here in just 1 second once we get to the end here. So we'll send all this information over to you in a follow-up message. For support side of the world, we've got a pretty large team. Ken O'Connor is our ADI account manager. He really is everything that makes ADI tick on the SureCall side. But he also manages the territory from the eastern side in that red. I manage the blue section right in the middle, and then Brian Bailey is our direct contact for everything on the West Coast. You can call our corporate office. You can call our Adam Dutra, who's our design support. And then, of course, our tech support team is available 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, that specific time, being based out of California. But any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to any of us at any point in time, and we'll spend as much time as we have to get you comfortable with the product, point you in the right direction if there's any troubleshooting. If you really don't understand how to utilize the meter or some of the technologies that are available to you, feel free to call us at any point in time. So before I turn this over to Larry for a couple questions before we get into the Q&A side of the world here. I want to share one fun fact that I know Ken O'Connor is going to absolutely love because this is one of his biggest babies. We have a very wide range of customers that reach out to us, from residential applications all the way up to very large scale buildings. I think we just finished a hospital at 750,000 square feet, which is a big win for SureCall. But I think that the best conversation that we've ever had was with NASA. We are now the booster of choice when it comes down to the booster manufacturer of choice when it comes down to bringing in cellular communications into a lot of their large buildings. And we just find it kind of funny that rocket scientists who build these gigantic ships that get in outer space had to come to us to be able to figure out how to bring cellular signal technology inside of their buildings. So it's a good, fun story. It's a good win for us for this very large building. Unfortunately, none of us got to go inside of it because we didn't have the right credentials, but it would have been nice to get inside and see what they actually do and how they build it. So again, before we get any Q&A, Larry, do you want to jump in here and kind of do a quick review and say a few other things?
Yeah, actually, I was going to share my screen and talk a little bit about ADI Academy. So if you could allow me to do that.
I think that's going to be
Yeah, you just need to stop sharing.
Got it. Done.
Great. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm Larry Borghese. I'm responsible for learning and development here at ADI Global. And what I want to just talk briefly about is the new learning platform that we've recently introduced probably several weeks ago. It's called ADI Academy. It's available directly by going to adiglobalacademy.com, or you can also access it through our ADI website by looking under the services category for training and events, and then that'll provide you a link directly to here. Once you're here, you do have to register on this site in order to take any of the training that's available. There's an ADI Academy registration link up the top. Just complete the necessary information, and then that'll allow you to get in. But because this is a relatively new program, we're actually offering a 60-day free trial to several bundles available in ADI Academy. We have a variety of different offerings in different product categories: access control, IP video, networking, and so on and so forth, as you could see here on the site. But if you click on the 60-day trial link on Get It, it'll take you to this page where you can access 3 bundles for 60 days, one of these 3. Each of these has anywhere from 5 to 9 different courses that carry continuing education credits as well. So there's an access control, IP networking, and an IP video course bundles that you could select and just click on buy now. They're $0. And again, you'll have access to those for 60 days. In addition to that, if you're interested, you could subscribe for the entire portfolio of offerings. There's an annual subscription for that. It's $250 for an entire year, 12 months access. And so that's essentially what we have in terms of our ADI Academy launch. Again, it's available now, and if you have any questions, certainly you can add them into the chat window, and I'll be happy to answer them throughout the rest of this call. All right, I will turn that back over to Mike and the team so that you guys can field questions around the products.
Thank you, Larry. All right, let me get back into, how do I do this? Share screen, there it is. All right, so one of the questions that came up really quickly, I just want to go back to so we can look at this. The signal meter itself is a very simple meter to be able to utilize. So one of the big things that really kind of comes into play here is obviously how do we use it and what it does. So the signal meter has 3 distinct modes on it. Mode 1 is going to inspect the actual blocks within the frequencies themselves that the carriers own. Mode 2 will inspect frequency by frequency by frequency. And then mode 3 takes an average. So when you're doing a basic site survey with a SureCall meter, you can put the meter into mode 3 just by holding down this band select button. You would hold it down, it'll go from mode 1 to mode 2, let go, hold it down again, it goes into mode 3. What I like about mode 3 is it gives you an average cellular signal for that particular frequency. So on the front of it, as you can see here, it says LTE for AT&T. When you go over to the next frequency, it'll say LTE for Verizon, and then we get into our cellular bands and some of the other technologies that are around with it. There's a lot of questions that keep coming up about what is how do I find out what those frequencies really look like? And what I want to be able to do here really quick is jump out of this presentation and get into some of the websites that will be able to help you really understand what here we go, how we can find some of those technologies that are out there. So first, cellmapper.net. Cellmapper.net is very, very easy to be able to utilize because what it will do for you is tell you where all the towers are in a specific area. So in this particular arena here, what we're looking at is, let me get this thing out of my way here. So what I can be able to do is I can click on the towers themselves. It will tell me where it's located, the frequencies that it's being able to enhance, and more importantly, once I get this thing right here, hopefully y'all can see it, when I click on it, you'll be able to notice on here the coverage that these towers are able to provide to you. And what you'll notice is it's very, very specific aiming and pointing. Even though this might be the closest tower to your residential application or your building install, it might not be the best tower to be able to connect to. So this is a very, very simple product to be able to truly understand where those towers are at, and then more importantly, the frequencies that are being used with it. The other app that we like to use is, it's called SpecMap. And SpecMap, once I find it on here again, I'm just going to type it in. SpecMap is a very easy site to be able to pull in the frequencies within your particular market. And me just living in Chicago, I'm just going to kind of zoom in here quickly. What you'll be able to do is go over here by carrier. You can pick the carrier, which is pick on AT&T for now. So let's say you had a customer that lived in this Naperville area and you just didn't know what frequencies that they were utilizing to be able to go and inspect. So I can click on these, and what you'll start to see here, we know that right now this is the band that they're on and these are the frequencies that they're utilizing. They are not utilizing band A. I can go to band B, and now I start to see a different breakout. So what you'll notice here is by county, there are different frequencies broken out that really will help you understand that these are the frequencies when I go out, the downlink here, the 734 to 750 on band B. So I go back to that signal meter, and now I know I can inspect these to get a proper signal strength or a donor signal for what my customers are looking for out there. You can do the same thing on the cellular side. You can notice that they're double up in here. So you've got your LTE 4G technology, and this is my voice technology that they're utilizing here. I can even start looking at some of the 5G technologies that they're bringing to the market, or their 5GE, and it's going to take a little bit just because it's new. But this will start pulling in which markets are utilizing. And right now in the Illinois market, Chicagoland market, they are not launching the 600 megahertz. They're probably starting to launch some of their AWS-3 for their 5G. There it is. That's their new 5G technology that they're utilizing. So it's got everything built into it. specmap.sequence-omega. You know, it's a long email or a long web address, but this is a great one to really be able to look at, is to find out what those frequencies are. And then you can go back in and you can inspect what that technology looks like on your signal meter. So very, very easy to be able to do at this point. So with that, you know, I hope that that gives you enough information to be a little bit dangerous when you're out in the marketplace. Again, you can reach out to any of us on the SureCall team with any questions that you might have at any point in time. You know, we are a very customer-focused organization, and that is driven from the top down. We will do what it takes to make our partners happy and earn your trust, and more, you know, down the road, earn your business. So feel free to reach out to any of us. If there's any questions you have, please get them into the chat box, and let's take some of that time to do that. Do you see anything, any other questions come up at all? Oh, I've got one here that came up.
Joe Camerata asked two questions, and I'll just ask them kind of concurrently. For your training, are there any costs involved? And then this follow-up, do you use rep firms to support you, Ken, and Brian?
So there's zero cost for our trainings. All of our virtual trainings, level 1 is recorded, so you can go through it at your own pace. Level 2 is scheduled. You have to register for it. There is limited seating available on those. Same thing with the public safety side, limited seating on those. We do have some manufacturer rep firms that are available out in select markets. They are not nationwide, so Bryant is the main point of contact in the West Coast. We only have a few rep firms that are out in the markets that that are local, that will support SureCall and the ADI teams. Slowly changing. We're always looking for new firms to help kind of bridge the gap from, you know, Ken being in Georgia, me being in Chicago, and Bryant being in Utah. So any opportunities or any partnerships that you know of, please let us know, and we can look at it for you.